Donald Trump is a phony, a fraud. His promises are as worthless as a degree from Trump University. He's playing the members of the American public for suckers. He gets a free ride to the White House, and all we get is a lousy hat. He has neither the temperament nor the judgment to be president, and his personal qualities would mean that America would cease to be a shining city on a hill.
There are literally hours of tape like that of what real Republicans at the highest level of the Republican Party used to sound like on the very specific topic of Donald Trump, and not just that, Donald Trump as president. It's that Republican Party that a new group called the Lincoln Project is hoping to revive. The Lincoln Project, launched today and formed by several of Trump's fiercest conservative critics, has already raised over $1 million in its pursuit to defeat Donald Trump in the next election. Some of the group's advisors laid out their case in a New York Times op-ed this morning. Quote, this effort asks all Americans of all places, creeds, and ways of life to join in the seminal task of our generation, restoring to this nation leadership and governance that respects the rule of law, recognizes the dignity of all people, and defends the Constitution and American values at home and abroad. Over these next 11 months, our efforts will be dedicated to defeating President Trump and Trumpism at the ballot box and to elect those patriots who will hold the line. Our peril far outstrips any past differences. It has arrived at our collective doorstep, and we believe there is no other choice. Joining the table, GOP strategist and one of the co-authors of that New York Times op-ed, Rick Wilson. Tell us who else founded this group with you.
Well, it's myself, Steve Schmidt, John Weaver, Reed Galen, Mike Madrid, Jennifer Horn. We are folks that around the the hated Republican establishment, spent a lot of years in the fields helping get Republicans elected at every level, from president on down to dog catcher. And all of us have had a long-running issue with the fact that Donald Trump doesn't represent any of the values that the Republican Party once claimed that it stood for, once claimed that it worked for, and has in fact flipped those values on their head and turned this once great party into a personality cult. And we recognize that you have a long road to rebuild something that matters as an active, positive force in American society, and instead of being something that is dedicated to the sole defense of a man who is overtly criminal, overtly corrupt, and who has diminished the office of the presidency and diminished this country in meaningful ways. So
I have a million questions for you. But one, I mean, is it your position that if you really believe that Donald Trump is as dangerous as I know all of you, and I feel the same way, then the only intellectually honest position is I will vote for anyone who opposes him? I mean, I think I said 2 years ago that if they nominate Beto O'Rourke's bus, I will vote for it. I mean, you can't be as alarmed by Trump as some Republicans say they are and not say whomever the Democrats pick, I will vote for him or her.
That's part of it. But the other part of it is that Donald Trump has a lot of people who are getting away with murder right now. A lot of people who go out or in private and say, or Republicans who say, oh, I can't stand him. This is wrong. This is bad. This is evil. Then they go out, put the red hat on, and pretend that all is good in the world. They go out and they furrow their brows, and they like certain senators from Maine who go out and furrow their brows and say, oh, isn't this awful? And then they vote the way Donald Trump wants them to vote. Mm-hmm. They do. Today, this entire Senate process that we're seeing emerge right now, there are no heroes in the Republican Party right now. And some of those folks need to understand that there is a political cost to being part of Donald Trump's orbit.
How do you make them pay? How do you do that?
Well, you do that in ways that the Democratic Party isn't always as skillful at, but nobody mistakes any of us for folks who pull any punches when it comes to negative advertising, when it comes to our media.
What's the message?
Oh, the message is simple, that nothing is more important than the removal of Donald Trump from office. He is a proximate danger to this country right now. We're going to do whatever it takes, even if it makes us ideologically uncomfortable, even if we have to have someone in whose politics we don't 100% agree with in office for a little while. We need to make the steps right now before Donald Trump is able to do incredibly cataclysmic damage to this country in a second term.
So will we see you advertising as Republicans for Elizabeth Warren, or will we see you putting out the anti-Trump messages?
You're going to see a whole spectrum of messages, I think, that are going to, in fact, some of them are going to surprise people. I'll just leave that on the table for right now. But we're going to be looking at ways to advocate for a post-Trump environment, a post-Trump country. It's not just about party. I mean, all of us could have made the easiest decision in the world and kept our mouth shut and kept making plenty of money. This isn't about us trying to get back into power in the GOP. We really don't care about that at this point. None of us really are worried about trying to put the paddles on the dead animal that is Trump's GOP. We hope that we can someday rebuild something new. And
so to help kill the diseased party.
But you have to, look, when something's got gangrene, you have to cut it off.
But Rick, how do you make the parallel? Here's the challenge that I keep struggling with. You look at what worked in 2018. We know what worked. Kitchen table issues, prescription drugs, health care. Your argument, which to me is the most passionate argument, a high-minded argument, save our democracy. How do you thread that back to the voters who don't have the moral luxury? That's the thing. You have to turn, to me, his criminality, his destruction of the democracy, to how it affects you. So as conservative Republican guys who are much smarter than the Democrats, how do you thread that needle?
Look, a lot of this is talking about the things that are actually impacting real people. So if you're in Wisconsin or Iowa, you're not just saying Trump is evil and must be destroyed. You're saying this is a guy who promised you that you would have greatness. And what has he done? He sent your farms into bankruptcy. We go to places where, in Pennsylvania, where the steel miners and the coal miners and the steel manufacturers thought, oh my gosh, Donald Trump's going to restore our industries to greatness. What have they gotten? They've gotten screwed to the wall.
Let me translate this for anybody at home. They are opening up the secret of how Republicans win campaigns and putting them to use to defeat the Republican president.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.